I often speak to business advisors who are looking to put an advisory board in place. My question to them is always, why? The answer is usually something about business development and networks, to assist with new strategic insights and inputs, or maybe it's as a precursor to a governing board. That question why though, and being very clear as to why you want to establish an advisory board, is an important one, and I always encourage business owners to think through it really carefully. Here's some things that I think might be part of that thought process that are important. First of all, what's the role and the authority of the advisory board? Like any other board, there should be a documented board charter for an advisory board, setting out really clearly what its role is and how it interfaces with management and the rest of the company. The authority is also important. Of course, by its nature, an advisory board is a group of independent advisors who are advising, not making decisions. And it's important that this is ratified not only in the advisory board charter, but what happens in practice in the advisory board as well. A key risk for advisory board members is that they will look, feel and smell like a director, in which case, even though they're not appointed as a non-executive director under the Corporations Act, they can be deemed at law to be a de facto director. That means they've got the same liabilities, the same duties, but not the same protections. Second thing to look at with an advisory board is tenure. Some of the advisory board models group people together just on a particular issue or project, so they're an advisory board really just for a point in time. However, a model that often creates more value is one where the advisory board's established over a multi-year period. This means that the advisory board members get to understand the business a lot better, and so are able to find and deliver more valuable input. Thirdly, you need to think about composition. And the composition of the advisory board really needs to be aligned to its role. You want the skills, the experience, the diversity around the advisory board to make sure that that role as you've defined it is realised in practice. And fourthly, you need to think about process. Advisory boards should have a calendar of set meetings. They should have roughly a set agenda, and they should have a process that might look something like, prior to each meeting, a set of issues is given to the advisory board for them to ponder about, and then come to the meeting prepared to be able to have a good discussion on and obviously advise the business on. I'll just flip it around for a moment in case you're an advisory board member or you're asked to be an advisory board member, and think about some of the considerations. And so from your perspective, you also want to make sure that there's good clarity as to role and authority. You also want to make sure that you are typically and in accordance with the charter going to be an advisory board member and not a de facto director. You also might want to look at remuneration, and typically advisory board members get remunerated about 75% of what a non-executive director would get remunerated in a company of the same size and the same nature. And lastly, you want to look at your indemnities and D&O insurance to make sure that there's some sort of coverage for any liability that you might incur on your advisory board member position. So hopefully there's some useful tips if you're a business owner establishing an advisory board, or if you're a person who's been asked to be on an advisory board.